Good Wednesday morning to you all. Hopefully you guys are doing great. We got on the Watchmen update here. Some big news items. Up to 20% of internet traffic across the world was suddenly brought to a halt yesterday. We're going to talk about what just happened and how it could possibly happen again. And could we finally see the Epstein files? It looks like we might. There's a big development happening right now, and this could change everything. We have the U.S. labeling what's happening in Nigeria finally as a genocide. That triggers some legal things that we need to discuss. We got that. More robo-taxis across the United States approved. And the Japan-Chinese feud has just been dialed up to 11. ATM cards down in different places across the United States. Reports coming from the Watchmen on that. And a big coffee sale. So if you're a coffee drinker, you might want to pay attention. You might be able to get some for a decent price, like we haven't been able to for a while. We got that and a whole lot more on today's update. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are your updates that you guys are sending in from all over. If you have something to share, make sure you use that word update. That does help us to process all the information you guys are sending in. Make sure you use that word update. All right, we also want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. They help people with retirement accounts. If you have a retirement account, an IRA, 401k, if you're in stocks, you probably haven't had a good week this week so far. If you want to just get out of the whole rat race and get into something safer and more stable, gold, silver, and platinum, physical metals that you own, Jonathan and his team can walk you through it. All you have to do is just tap the little button at the end on the screen. All right, let's start off with the appeals court that has ordered Texas to use its 2021 congressional map and banning it from using its newly drawn map. They have just come up with a new map that is a little more slanted towards Republicans, just like all the blue states have been doing. Blue states have been gerrymandering so badly, it's just absolutely awful. We got Illinois out there, we got New York out there, we got Northeast states that have 30 to 35% Republicans, and they don't have a single representative in the Congress, right? We have whole New England states that have no Republicans representing them in Congress. But yet somehow every Republican state is forced to have all these Democratic seats, even though even more of the people are Republican than even those Democratic states are blue. So they have been using legislative hurdles to stop red states at every turn, and this is nothing new. California is trying to move ahead with gerrymandering their state even worse, make it as ridiculous as possible to make sure that there's no Republicans getting elected across all of California. It seems like it's just absolutely rough. Well, friends, the wheel keeps turning, so to speak, right? All right. U.S. lawmakers just almost unanimously voted to release the Epstein files. President Trump said, hey, if Congress passes a bill to release the Epstein files, we will do that. Well, 427 to 1 in the House of Representatives voted to approve that. The Senate has immediately thereafter had a vote, and they deemed it passed. Now, there's a couple of legislative things here going on still, but basically the House bill hadn't even gotten over to the Senate, and the Senate just said, we're going to pass it. Like no negotiations, no discussion, just it's already passed. So all they have to do is walk it over to the Senate, get the signatures, and then somebody needs to drive it over to the White House. President Trump has promised to sign it. There's some interesting things in the footnotes here. One of the things says that basically that Pam Bondi can redact anything that would impact national security. So one would have to ask the question, why would anything related to Jeffrey Epstein impact national security? And the fact that it might should be a little bit concerning. Considering what he was involved with, shouldn't that be as far away from the federal government as possible? And yet, apparently it wasn't. And I also have to just add here why it took us 10 months to get here. Now, I understand that the previous resident is probably in those files. And so it makes sense that the previous resident was like, nope, not going to release this stuff. But the current president, who supposedly doesn't have anything to do with this guy, and is supposedly not in the files other than just on the outskirts of it or whatever, why didn't this happen days into the Trump administration? I think we're all asking those questions, and what will we see here as this comes out? All right, Tesla. Tesla has been approved by the Arizona Department of Transportation to launch its robo-taxi service on public roads in the state. Now, Arizona and Utah and some of these other dry states already have multiple. They got Waymo out there driving around. Is that the Apple one? I forget. Then there's the Google one. They got a number of different self-driving taxis being tested across the United States. Tesla is like, hey, us too, because when you're getting a robotic taxi, don't you think that having an explosive battery pack underneath you that could catch fire, doesn't that just make it sound so much better than a regular gasoline engine and gasoline car? Yeah. Somebody thought that would just add to the experience. So anyway, I don't know if I want an electric car picking me up. But anyway, U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Michael Waltz, has declared the atrocities against Christians in Nigeria now as a genocide. Now, there's a reason why diplomats avoid, especially American diplomats, avoid the G word, genocide, because it triggers legal things, not only internationally, but also the United States then has obligations to do things, to intervene and to stop it. We may be seeing U.S. deployment of troops or something else happening in Nigeria soon. President Trump campaigned on getting us out of wars, and yet now with Venezuela and now Nigeria, it's looking like we may be going the wrong direction. Russia has slammed France's fighter jet deal with Ukraine as fueling war. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Paris is in no way contributing to peace, but rather fueling militaristic and pro-war sentiment. One has to wonder what French fighter jets are going to do anyway in that theater, but that's a whole nother topic for another day. 500,000 China-Japanese trips have been canceled after a travel warning. So these are 500,000 air tickets to go to Japan from China. Chinese tourists are thought to have been canceled by Chinese passengers after Beijing warned its citizens not to visit Japan because it might be dangerous. Yeah. Japan has in turn warned its citizens to be careful going to China and to avoid big crowds. We'll see what's going on with that. That was after Taiwan said, that they could legally intervene on behalf of Taiwan to protect it from a Chinese invasion. The United States has announced sales of F-35 jets to Saudi Arabia. President Trump saying very clearly that Saudi Arabia is a major non-NATO ally. So that opens up the door for certain arms sales of weaponry that we don't sell to just any country. So far, Saudi Arabia has been barred from purchasing certain weapon systems, including the F-35, and that is now changing. The Crown Prince also announcing that they're going to invest over $1 trillion into the U.S. economy to build factories and all that kind of stuff in the U.S. Cloudflare had a massive outage causing error message across the internet. A technical glitch at Cloudflare on Tuesday caused parts of the internet to go offline. Now, they manage about 20% of global internet traffic. Now, they are specialized in online security. They basically keep servers safe from being attacked by bot systems and by hackers. But in this case, basically what they did was they turned all legitimate traffic into being alerted as bots. So anyone who tried to get on a website or use certain services found themselves denied. And you didn't even get the little box that says, I am not a robot box. You couldn't do that, or even do the little, identify crosswalks or identify traffic lights in this picture, or bicycles. Nope, couldn't do that. You just got shut out of your systems. All right, Daniel says, at Prosperity Bank, all the ATM cards are down and no time frame as to when it will be fixed. Is anyone else seeing any ATM cards or debit cards not working out there? Because that was a spike there, and I heard some others seemed to be not working as well. I just want to verify those before announcing those. But it looked like possibly the Cloudflare issue actually did impact ATMs and banking services across the U.S. Shore Skeptic says, Jersey Shore. I went to a very understaffed Jersey Mike's last weekend. There was a long line and online orders were backlogged. The cashier outright asked each customer if they were going to tip. Well, that's a interesting way of getting customers to feel at home. The customers were actually quiet and polite, no Karens, but when an older gentleman stated, "Wow, you're busy, you must be making a lot of money," the cashier angrily snapped, "I don't make anything working here." We're just seeing customer service kind of spiraling downwards. As we're seeing tips massively increase across the U.S. economy, we're seeing service plunging. It's interesting because tips are no longer a way to reward good service. It has now become obligatory for everyone to pay for even basic services. Jesus and Coffee says, been noticing a big increase in the break room. Lots of staff are, now brace yourselves, this is going to be a crazy one, bringing their own lunches. Why? Because the cafeteria is too pricey. Ordering out is too costly. Used to be 2 or 3 people heating up their food. Today it was 8 or 9. People are feeling the pinch out there. Fast food, restaurants, takeout, all that is just getting a lot more expensive, isn't it? And people's budgets are stretched thin. Cindy says, I had to go to a couple of stores before I could find any canned spinach. That's in Washington State. We've heard in the Northwest, for some reason, there's issues with canned spinach. So is anyone else seeing canned spinach issues out there? Let us know down in the comments down below. Make sure you use the word update, of course. Harry says, last week we bought 3 salmon fillets at $50-ish each from Costco here in Boise, Idaho. At home, we started processing them into smaller portions and noticed that the fish was too perfect and had no smell at all. I gave some of the cuttings to my 2 dogs. Both dogs caught the chunks of fish, but then immediately spat it out. I gave them 2 more chunks, and again, both of them spat them out. Never seen this before, and we took the salmon back. The manager told us that she will take it back for a refund, but for us, we don't want to do that ever again. What is up with that? We've heard rumors of weird chicken. We've heard reports of salmon being not so fishy, right? Let us know if you're having any issues out there with it as well. Steven says, I saw the live stream of the Mexican riot out in front of the presidential palace, totally blocked by U.S. media, but Tusi TV showed it live and it was interesting. All I can say is, Shine Bomb, better pack your bags and leave quickly, because they breached the presidential residence, and it just kind of scary what's going on down there. And of course, with the Mexican government being totally destabilized, how can they stop anybody from crossing the border when they are basically being run by the cartels themselves? That's what the riot was about. Young people are fed up with the government being run by cartels and giving and basically letting the cartels do whatever they want. People actually want law and order, and they're not getting it. All right, some coffee deals here. R says in coastal Mississippi, Folgers coffee, regular size, now $10.99 from the previous $15.99 at Walmart. Not sure if the price is coming down or it's overstocked. Well, the price is not coming down just yet. So if you're seeing a deal like that, you might want to snap it up, because it's going to be a while before you get real price relief. So that's Walmart out there. You may see that. Check out Folgers coffee for Walmart. Also, Deep Quake says, update, Kroger coffee on sale, $6.99 was $13.99. So Kroger apparently also having some deals on coffee. Let us know if you're seeing any other good deals out there coffee-wise. They say maximum 5 cans, 3 days only. So might want to jump on that if you're in Kroger territory. Look for coffee. That's Kroger coffee. Lady AR says, 1 year ago, my daughter's bank account went to zero, just like that. It took her some months for them to get it all resolved, though. Then, just recently, her health insurance didn't have her covered for a minute. All services rendered from the time of being uncovered to realizing she wasn't covered had to be paid cash out of pocket. So make sure you're covered, friends, especially if you have to get medical services. Double check to make sure your coverage is good. Make sure that you're in network. I just hear story after story after story that are just obnoxious of these insurance companies doing everything they can to avoid making payments. And that's after people have been very, very faithful and very reliable making their payments. Nashville Pasta Man says, save money on bone broth. You can buy 2 organic chickens on Friday specials. Spatchcock them. Basically throw the back, necks, and organs into a 8-quart pot. Take the meat off when it's done and throw all the unused parts into the pot along with ginger, onions, carrots, celery, ginger, garlic, bay leaves, etc. Of course, you can look up these specific recipes out there. But Sunday afternoon, simmer on low for 48 hours. Sunday afternoon, strain the pot, and you will have 2 gallons of dark collagen-rich broth, much darker than you will see in most of the expensive brands. Then pressure cook it. Depending on where you live, 2 gallons of bone broth is $90-ish. You will spend $45 on the 2 chickens, but end up with $90 in bone broth alone. And meat for the week. After a couple months of this, you will have a significant canning supply. Larry says, to help people with the rising cost of ground beef, I recently made meatloaf and cooked half a cup of cheap lentils to mix in with the ground beef. You would never have known it, and it was delicious. Would work for chili, tacos, goulash, and spaghetti, or whatever else you use ground beef for. All right, friends, if you want to get some more information from Genesis Gold about what you can do with your retirement account, there's a link right there on the screen. Just tap it and fill out your information, and they'll get in contact with you. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.